Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. This is going to be a knit with me video. I'm gonna continue knitting my sweater, and while I do that, I'm gonna answer your questions that you sent me on Instagram yesterday regarding low buy and intentional consumption. Now I'm further along than I was last time. That is because I took an hour to continue knitting, just because I thought it's getting kind of boring because I'm always doing the same thing. And even though I really like this series, I don't really know if I want to turn it into like a 20 or 30 videos series. So let me know if you think that's a good idea, that I knit something in between and show you the clips here during the video, or if you prefer me to do a really long video series where I show you in the video every single stitch I'm knitting. I'll start with the general intentional consumption questions, and then I'll move on to my specific like low buy and what you are asking about the rules that I have and how I handle that, and yeah, things like that. So someone asks, do you teach your son about intentional consumption? If so, how? Yes, I think intentional consumption is one of the most important things when we want to move into a more sustainable future, because one of the problems is, of course, the products itself, that they are not sustainable, but another huge problem is just the amount of products that we are used to buying, I think. So how I teach my son about intentional consumption is essentially just whenever he wants to have something or we think about adding something, that I show him my process of buying something new. An example would be our couch. Of course, he realized it and we realized it. Our couch was like falling apart. It was a fake leather couch. It was just really ugly at a certain point, and the fake leather was falling off the couch. But we were searching for a secondhand couch, and of course he saw that process as well, that we wouldn't just go out and buy some new couch, but we would carefully look for a couch that would meet all of our needs, that would be perfect for us, make sure that that could be a couch that we can use for a longer time, not make the same mistakes again. So that would be one example where he just sees how we make a bigger purchasing decision for our household. Or for example, when he wants something, so he just, let's say he comes home from school and says like, kid A has something and kid B has that, and I want both of these things. Then of course we don't just order it online, but we talk about it like, do you really want to have that? In which situation would you use it? Should we look if we can find it secondhand nearby so that it is less expensive and we can save some resources? And now he usually, if he wants to have something, he asks if we can look it up on our like online marketplace sites that we use here in the city, instead of him asking if we can order it off a website or something like that. So I think he definitely has a feeling for being careful, not just buying everything that comes to your mind, and making sure if you purchase it, if you really want to go forward with that, to buy it somewhere where you can save some resources, make a more sustainable decision, and buy it just in a more sustainable way in general. The next question is, how do I resist buying something just because I recently decluttered? Now, I'm not 100% sure if that question means buying the same thing again that you have decluttered but realize you need it again, or if that means like, I have decluttered 100 pieces of clothing now, as because I decluttered so much, I can buy more things. I think for the first way of interpretation, if you like declutter something and you realize, oh, I have decluttered that but I need it again, I would try to wait for a bit and really think about the purchase, just to make sure that you don't end up realizing that you don't need it again if you bought it. For example, if you had like a special kitchen appliance, a special kitchen thing, and you decluttered it because you realized you never use it, and then you realize, oh, now I want to use it. Maybe think about, can I just skip that meal? Is it that important to me? Or can I borrow it from somewhere? Is there a renting service for something like that? Can I use something else to do the same thing? But of course, it can also happen that you actually realize, I decluttered it, but I need it again. I need to buy that again, and I think that's okay. But what wouldn't be okay is, of course, if you buy it 5 times and declutter it again just to buy it a 6th time again. And the other way of understanding this question, where it would mean how to resist like the feeling of like, oh, I decluttered so much, now I can buy some new things. I think here it really comes down to why you are decluttering. I know that it is a common way of decluttering that you just think like declutter the old to make room for the new. Now, you can of course do that, but it is not my way of decluttering. I usually declutter because I realize that I don't need something, like that it is too much, that it is a thing additional to what I need, so I can let it go and I can easily live without that. An exception for me is sometimes my wardrobe, because there are a few things that either get worn out, so I need to exchange them because I can't wear the same thing anymore. Or there are things that I don't like anymore, so I want to exchange it for something that I like better. But with these things, I think, of course, if it's broken, if it has holes, if you can't wear it anymore, you need to replace it. I don't think that's decluttering in that sense. But if you just want a new style, you get bored of your wardrobe and so you want to have a new wardrobe, then I think it makes sense to really slow that down a bit. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, and I absolutely do that as well. If I realize that just a few pieces I don't feel comfortable in them anymore, then I want to exchange them. But I'm not just decluttering all of them and buying new things, but I'm trying to do that in a slow way to make sure, again, that I'm not wanting to change my wardrobe in another month and then I like monthly change my complete wardrobe, but that I make sure that the new decision I'm making is actually lasting longer, so that I only buy a new thing if I'm sure, or as sure as I can be, that I'm going to use that new thing for several years. I've made a few videos about that. I think I've talked about in my last Knit With Me video about that exact topic, and I'm gonna link you the whole playlist up here, what to do if you're bored with your wardrobe. And I also made a video where I talked about just how to be content with what you have, how to feel like you have enough and you don't need to buy new things all the time, and I'm going to link that video up here as well. I think these relate to that topic and can be very helpful if you're struggling with that or just want to hear more of my thoughts on that topic. The next question is, what is on your wish list? Now, that is related to the last one, because on my wish list most things are wardrobe things, like our clothes. I have a wish list in my phone, and I did that specifically also because I'm doing a low buy, just to better keep track of what I actually want to have, what I want to add, what I do add, how much it is, because I'm allowing myself to add one thing per month. For me, like, it's the household things do not count, and groceries and things, of course, don't count either, but just things that come into my belongings and that are not like a bar of soap, like that wouldn't count either. On my wish list, I have a new pair of sweatpants because I don't like the color of my current ones and they have holes. On my wish list is a new hoodie because this one is kind of falling apart slowly. Like, I can wear it for a bit longer, but at a certain point I want to exchange it. I want to have a new bikini, and actually I made a video where I talked about my wish list, so I'm gonna link it up here for you. But I have 2 other things on my wish list that are not clothing items, and that is an ebook reader, because I think it would simplify the process of reading, and I love reading a lot and I think it gives me a lot, so I think it would be worth it buying a new thing, adding a new thing to my life in order to make it easier for me to read more books. And the other thing is a sleeping bag, and I've talked about that in another video where I talked about like extreme minimalist swaps. I'm gonna link it up here for you as well, and that is a sleeping bag that can be like opened up in a rectangle that is warmer than the sleeping bag I currently have, so that I could use it as a blanket, like inside a blanket cover, like duvet cover, when I'm home, and I can use it as a sleeping bag when I'm out and about, when I'm camping, when I'm traveling. That would just minimize my belongings. It would make my current sleeping situation better, because my duvet is very heavy and not that warm, and it would make my sleeping bag situation better because my sleeping bag is not warm enough. So these are the two things that are on my wish list that are not clothing items. For the other things on my clothing item wish list that I'm not currently remembering all of them, I mean, that also means that some of them might not be that important. You can check out the video that I've linked to in the cards. The next question is, if a product is sustainable and durable and ethical manufactured, are you willing to pay more for it? And yes, definitely. For the most, the area where it happens most often is definitely groceries. I pay a lot more money on groceries than I need to, just because I want to choose more sustainable options, fresh options, organic options. And also for other products, I'm willing to pay a lot more if it's made sustainably. If I'm not buying clothes secondhand, and secondhand is already a lot more sustainable, but usually saves me some money, then I'm buying them from sustainable and ethical brands. And these clothes usually cost sometimes 5 times more. And I am willing to pay that amount, but since I'm not I don't have that much money, and now I think I'm reaching the limit of videos that I can link you, so I'm gonna link you all the videos down below in the description as well. I can link you the videos about how my income is and how much money I spend each month. And because that's not that much, I can't afford every single piece being sustainably and ethically made. But that is also why I choose secondhand things. And for furniture and other home goods, I also mostly buy them secondhand just to save some money. But if I'm buying them new, I'm absolutely willing to pay more money if they're made ethically and sustainably. But with that said, that is my choice, and I believe that is the right choice for my life and my situation. But I understand every single person that just says it's not possible for me, I can't afford these things that are so much more expensive. So I always think, you do what works for you. You do the best you can when it comes to sustainable choices, but we cannot shame the consumer for everything, because big corporations have to be responsible as well and make sure that they're producing their goods in a way that isn't harmful to the environment. So that is what I think. I try to make the best sustainable choices, but not all the responsibility lies on the consumer. Now I have to change my thread because one of them is running out. And I'm at the point where I need to add new stitches to broaden the whole garment. Ooh. And then I'm gonna read the next question. So I think now we're moving on to the more specific questions, to making a low buy and things like that. The next question is, would you consider a low buy for home supplies? Trying to make things like soap, cleaning supplies, flour, etc. last you longer. Yes, I think I would try to make a low buy for home supplies, especially if I was in a situation where I had a lot of storage, because I think that is how I understand this question. But in my current situation, it really doesn't make sense at the moment. I think we don't have huge storage of things that we haven't used yet, and so we just buy for our household whatever we need. But I think it would be an interesting thing, and it would also be an interesting thing, and I'm not sure if some of the question is meant like that, making my own things. I think it's making my own things last longer, but another example would be just making as many things as possible myself so that I don't need to buy them, which could mean that as long as I can buy the things that I need to make, I don't know, skincare products or cleaning products at a grocery store, or as long as these are things that I need in general for my household, that it doesn't count as buying a new item for my household. Things like that would be interesting as well. I'm not doing that at the moment. I bake my own bread and things like that, so I don't buy bread. I have made my own cleaner and things like that, but I wouldn't completely do it. So I think it's an interesting idea to both use up all of your home supplies and do a low buy or a no buy if you have a lot of that, as well as making your own things as far as possible to avoid needing to buy more household things. And now the next question is, do you feel there's enough room for spontaneous purchases? I think the person means with my like low buy rules, and I have to say no, not really. Now I've made a spontaneous purchase, which was this wool, and now I'm not sure if I would have bought it if I would have thought about it a lot longer, but like there is some room. I don't think I absolutely need 12 new things this year, but on the other hand, it really depends on how you count it, because that's something that I'm not super clear right now about, because I made this rule of buying one thing each month. And I think in the beginning of the year, I thought I'll include all my business expenses as well. But then I didn't make the rule clear enough to know if a digital product counts as well. So I bought a domain, but does the domain count as one thing? Or do SD cards count as one thing each or as one set because I'm using them together? Or doesn't it count at all because I had SD cards before, but I couldn't use the old ones anymore because they were too slow? So is it just exchanging something like a soap that you need to exchange from time to time? And if you count it in a way that you get the biggest number possible, I think these 12 things can be very limiting. Like it can feel like there's no room for spontaneous purchases at all. But if you count it the complete other way, like you only count things that I have bought for myself, then I've only bought then I've only had 3 things for myself, and that is this plus 2 things that I got for free, which also means I maybe shouldn't even count these. So I've only bought 1 thing this year for myself. And so I think it really depends on how I actually count the things I buy. And I think in my next low buy update, which is coming in the end of June or beginning of July, I'm gonna make that clear for myself, because I'm not sure yet how I'm exactly wanting to count these things, because I don't want to trick myself into allowing myself to buy more things. That's absolutely not what I want to do here. But I also want to give myself the opportunity to actually really do it without being so restricted that it is almost impossible, if you know what I mean. Let me know if you have any thoughts about that or how you would do it down below in the comments, so that I maybe can get some inspiration for making the rules for myself. The next question is there a category that you are more free and experimental with spending in? For example, experiences, plans, just because I know some people make exceptions and I find it so interesting. Now, I haven't made any exceptions for myself. I think it's very interesting as well. I think I would make exceptions if I made a no buy. If I said in some areas I'm not allowed to buy anything, then I would have made exceptions for my wardrobe because I knew some things would break so that I need to replace them or something like that. That's another thing. I haven't made an exception for that. So if something breaks, I think I have to count it as an item if I get something new, but maybe I should change that as well. So I don't have exceptions, but maybe in a future year, I think low buy, making a low buy year is a great thing, and it has been beneficial for me, I think. So now I need to exchange the next thread. And I think if I'm going on with that for another year, I might make an exception for books. Of course, I can use library books, and I don't think getting library books counts as a purchase because I'm not buying them because I have a membership. But yes, so maybe books would be an exception. And of course, as I said before, we're not counting household things. So I actually have gotten a plant. I bought it for I think €5, and I've gotten another plant for free from a friend. So that didn't count as items, but just because plants belong to all of us, and my low buy is just for the things that are for me. But let me also know what you think about that in the comments down below. I would be really interested in hearing your opinion about that. The next question is, do you have tips to get over the "what will people think" mindset when shifting to a minimalist wardrobe? I don't know. I have these thoughts. I of course have these thoughts as well. Especially, I have to say, when I talk to you here on YouTube. I have never experienced in real life that people actually realize that I'm wearing the same thing. But if I'm opening up here, I always think that, oh, maybe people are gonna think that I'm disgusting if I wear the same thing for several days, or yeah, if I wear the same thing all the time. And I'm gonna link you the video down below where I share a week in outfits so that you can see what I wear from like in a week realistically. And I think just that thought of you can wear one thing only once, because there's like a saying like, oh, it's already on my Instagram feed, so I'm gonna discard it or never gonna wear it again. I think that we just have to come over that. Like, I just think it's such a weird thought to only wear something once. So I definitely think it should be normal to wear things again and again, but I especially understand if you feel weird wearing the same thing back to back, because some people think it's not good, it's not like, it's disgusting or what, I don't know. And I think there I would suggest to just try slowly. And of course, if you meet the same people day after day, maybe try to make different outfits for the beginning phase to just see how you feel. And there was one girl, and she wore like the same dress for a whole entire year every single day, and nobody ever noticed. So that's just when I can tell you, people don't notice. And if somebody notices, you can always explain, and I think most people would understand and would definitely see it the same way, even though they might not choose a minimalist wardrobe for themselves. But I can of course understand that it can be difficult or feel weird in the beginning, so I suggest just go slowly. Declutter your wardrobe slowly, or just make sure you wear different things around the same people in like short periods of time, so that they don't see you with the same outfit time after time. And yeah, see what feels good for you. Then the next question is one that I think is very, like, a lot of people have that, or a lot of people deal with that, and that is how to deal with impulse purchases. It's really a huge problem for me. Now there I can again recommend you the video where I talk about how to feel like you have enough, how to resist to always buy new things. And I think the most practical things is just placing habits in a way that avoid you buying new things all the time, which for me means that you never allow yourself to just buy something spontaneously, but you always have to write it down. And a friend of mine actually told me a good method to make sure to use that method even better, and that is you write something down if you think about it, like if you want to have it, and then the next time you really think like, I really need to have that, you go there where you've written that down and you like underline it, and maybe the next time you underline it again, and maybe the next time you make a circle around it, just to illustrate, like to physically see how many times you've thought about that and how many times you went back and really thought like, I want that. And that I think can help with understanding yourself and realizing what the things are that you actually want, because there will be things on the list that you never want to have again. And I also recommend that you have a certain rule in place, which is, for example, that things need to be on the list for at least 1 week before you can buy them. Something like that. You can also make yourself a budget. Like, I cannot spend more than 100 euros, dollars, whatever your currency is, a month on things that are not absolutely necessary. And I think we just have to see what works for us. You can, when you're online shopping, you can put things in your shopping cart and only visit your shopping cart on Sundays to check out. So you're only able to actually buy something each Sunday, or you can make 1 day a month. You can say that something has to be on a list for 3 months, and you do that by, when you first think about it and write it down, you put the date of when you've written it down next to the item, so you can see whenever it has passed the time that it is required to stay on that list. I think things like that can help with impulse purchasing. Now, of course, these are just all methods and tools to help, but they are not going to help you in the way that they will just get rid of that feeling of you wanting to buy something new. And I think that is because it's just a lot more complicated than just saying, oh, I'm just going to stop impulse buying. These things are just methods to have in place to help you avoid to actually buy things. But that feeling of wanting to buy new things cannot go away that fast. And there I think it's just because it has much more to do with your mindset than with the actual things. And it just takes a while to realize that buying something is not going to affect your happiness level for a long time. Buying something is not going to solve any other problem than if the problem is that you need that thing, and just things like that. Overall feeling like you are content, like you have enough. But these things are all easier said than done. So I think it's just practice, time, and maybe slowly change your mindset. But of course, I also want to say that sometimes buying something is beneficial. Sometimes you need something new. Sometimes you have a great idea and you need to buy it, and you impulse buy. And if you do it, like, it's not the worst thing ever. It's just the important thing is to learn to not buy things that you regret later, and to maybe limit the amount of times you impulse buy something in general. Just to learn to be more intentional and to actually only buy and accumulate the things that are beneficial, because in the end, if you buy a bunch of things that are not going to be useful, you have to declutter them again, or you accumulate a lot of clutter again. And I think that's not what we want. Like, we want to lead a happy life with things that are beneficial to us, and not drown in clutter that wastes a lot of money and isn't helping us in our life and moving towards the future we want to have. And this is where we currently are at. It's getting bigger. Here are the arms. Here is like the body part. It's getting bigger, but you can't really see it anymore because the needle is like too small to actually see it. I am getting really excited about how it will look, or curious, because maybe it's not going to turn out well. We'll see. And I think I'm going to continue knitting a bit more, so that that we can get somewhere with this sweater at some point. And again, let me know if you want to see me knitting that sweater all in videos, or if B-roll is enough, or if I should just continue in between videos. Just let me know what you think about that. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, because that would really help my channel. And if you want to see more videos, I'm going to link you a video and a playlist. And I also hope to see you next time. Bye!